We're doing our usual delving at this time of day now here on France 24, delving through the French newspapers. And most of them, Florence, good morning to you, headlining on Newsweek's exclusive interview that we were telling you about yesterday, in fact, with the chambermaid Dominique Strauss-Kahn.
Absolutely. We're going to start by looking at the tabloid François that says, this is the chambermaid. Now, as you just said, Nafissatou Diallo broke her silence with Newsweek, giving them an exclusive interview, giving her account of what happened. Now, it's the first time that she's spoken to the press publicly, and she stands firmly behind her accusations, and she says that she wants to see Dominique Strauss-Kahn go to jail. Now, she's also on the cover of Le Parisien. Here she is, Nafissatou Diallo, her face, her voice, her version. It's interesting to note, though, that this is not the first time that the French press has revealed her identity. In fact, pretty much since the scandal broke out, they've been referring to her by her real name, which is a very different tradition.
Cultural background, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, she's also in Libération. Here she is, ses mots, her words. And now, according to Libération, the prosecution is under pressure, and it says that this interview is kind of a media ploy to dissuade the prosecutor, Cyrus Vance Jr., from dropping the case. The next hearing is scheduled for August 1st. Now, according to Libération, Miss Diallo could be playing her last cards here. It emerged in early July that she'd been lying to investigators since the very beginning. Now, according to Dominique Strauss-Kahn's legal team, all this is an unseemly circus to inflame public opinion. Miss Diallo, however, insists that she's just trying to set the story straight. She says that people have been calling her a prostitute ever since this scandal broke out. Now, it's interesting to note that her lawyer, Kenneth Thomas, has made it clear that he's considering filing a civil lawsuit against Dominique Strauss-Kahn, and this could be him just laying out the groundwork for that.
And some of the newspapers, particularly left-wing Libération, have been quite critical, aren't they, of this kind of media war that's now erupting over it?
Absolutely. Now, their editorial is called malaise, so unease, and they come back on, exactly what you're saying, this media war. They come back on the initial pictures of Dominique Strauss-Kahn handcuffed. Now, that's very contrary to what happens here in France when you're dealing with cases like this. You never see people in handcuffs being led out by the police. And then they come back on what this latest interview, and they're calling it a TV saga, a TV episode, and they say that it seems to show how Miss Diallo and her legal team are desperate, and it says that all this comes down to her word against his, and they find it uncomfortable that this whole case is playing out as much in the press as it is in the courtroom.
Okay, well, moving on, the French press, of course, still covering the tragic events in Norway, and also taking that on a little bit, looking at what it means for the rest of Europe.
Absolutely. Now, this is an article in Le Figaro, and they say that the extreme rights militants are under close watch. Now, in its last report, which was published last spring, Europol, which is the EU's police force, said that the biggest threat facing Europe is radical Islamism. But it did note that extreme right militants had carried out several attacks in recent years, and the police had been intervening with regards to those cases in Hungary, France, Great Britain, the Czech Republic, and Germany. And now Europol did note that while police forces may have been distracted by al-Qaeda and therefore minimizing these extreme right militants. And it notes that often these extreme right militants are pretty much lone wolves, just like the Anders Breivik case in Norway, but that they're very active online and that they organize themselves into these kind of networks. And so they're looking more into that.
Okay, controversial one for you now. The French government making good on its pledge to reduce legal immigration.
Absolutely. Now, this is an article in Le Parisien, which comes back on the French Interior Minister Claude Guillaume. Back in May, he said that France didn't need to have foreign waiters or builders, and he'd promised to reduce the number of work-related legal immigrants by 20,000 people this year. Now, it seems like he's making good on this, and he's put forward a proposal, which Le Parisien has on its website. You can read all the details of that. And basically, it means that they're going to reduce the number of job sectors that non-EU citizens can apply to. Now, according to Le Parisien, the two sectors that are the most concerned are information technology and construction jobs.
All right, Florence Romano there with the French newspaper. She'll be back with the international ones a little bit later on. Stay with us.